We should be live. Welcome back, nerds and turds, to another live stream repair. We've got 4 in from 3 different people today, ranging from the usual no power to the usual death farts to a little bit of just preventative maintenance. So we'll kick things off with an easy peasy no power from Amil. Here we go. Before we start, we should observe the looks like we've got a pretty gnarly crack in the top right here. So when we go to pry this off, we'll want to be extra careful, especially around here. We don't want to make that worse, and if we're good enough at it, then we should be able to keep this in one piece. Give me 1 second, and check our symptoms. Here we've got a known good power cable. Over here, it's plugged into a kilowatt meter. What this does is this allows us to see exactly how much power this device is pulling from the wall, even if it may not appear like it's doing anything. This can usually give us a pretty good guess as to what may be going on inside without taking it apart. So, we'll plug it into power, and then we're going to touch the top a few times here. We see no response, and we're seeing around 4 to 6 watts of power draw according to our kilowatt meter here. So what that tells us is we've likely got the most common failure mode on here with that shorted diode on the amplifier. If we saw less power draw, like 1 or 2 watts, we would more likely think that it was a short on the logic board. We've seen a few different We've seen those a few different times now. Different capacitors on the logic board almost every time, strangely enough. And then if we saw no power draw at all, then that would point to a blown fuse, probably on the power supply. So, looks like we've got a shorted diode on the amp there. So let's get this apart. Would you say if... Okay. Welcome, smart home sellout. Would you say, if someone follows your tutorial exactly, that it's a decent first project with SMD soldering and a hot air gun? You know, I'm gonna have to say, yes, kind of yes. It was my first attempt at anything with an SMD hot air rework station. Was working on a HomePod, specifically with this no power issue that we're probably going to tackle here. On the other hand, I have had a handful of people who don't have much experience or any at all try this their first time and end up needing to send their board in for me to rebuild half of it because they lost a whole bunch of components. So I think yes and no. Maybe if you had just a little bit of practice and understanding of the fundamentals first, then this would be a really good beginner's novice-ish project to kind of tackle. Yeah. But if you try it yourself and you get scared or stuck along the way, then I'm here to help you. Be it advice or... I'll fix it for you. So let's get this one apart. Oh yes, so if you manage to take your HomePod apart yourself, and yeah, unfortunately that did not want to stay together, so we'll put that to the side. We'll probably be able to just stick that back on there. But anyways, so if you want to take it apart yourself, and you don't want to do the actual board repair, or you try the board repair and you mess it up. Depending on how much I have to do for you, I give up to 50% off the normal repair rates. So that's, if it's no power or death farts, which is the most common stuff, that's like $30, best case scenario. Best case scenario is pretty much you send in just the amp, and the amp only needs the repairs that we planned. Worst case is it needs rebuilt, it needs more parts, etc., etc., and it won't go up more than an extra like $20, $30 from there. But you still wouldn't pay more than you would if you sent the whole thing in. If you make me take it apart or put it back together again, then that's where I charge you more. But hey, if you do all the hard work taking it apart and putting it together, I'm more than happy to do the board repair for you. And again, that is up to 50% off the normal repair rate if you send in just the board. So what you want to do, if you don't have one, you really should get one, is get yourself a multimeter and put it into diode test mode, or pretty much the mode that beeps at you when you've got a short or continuity. Kind of like that. If my meter wasn't junk, then that would say 0, because it's basically 0 ohms. It's a dead short, because the probe's a probe to probe. But go and test your diode and make sure that the diode is actually shorted out. That'll confirm that the problem is there on the amp, and you can send just the amp in. If your diode is good and it does not appear shorted, then it's probably the logic board and you'll want to send that in. If you're not sure, if you don't have a multimeter and you just want to send in both the amp and the logic board and the power supply, you can send all three of those in, and I'll just check them and fix what needed to be fixed. But yeah, you can stick around. You will get to see up close exactly how we check that. That baby makes some funny sounds sometimes. I never knew that babies could make the sounds that they make. Everybody tried to prepare us for how difficult it would be to have a kid, but nobody prepared us for how hilarious it would be. Is that top screen you take off with a spudger pretty easy to break if you pry too hard at certain angles? Absolutely. You can easily scratch or crack this top off if you're not prying this at the right angle. And the right angle to do this is essentially keeping this tool perfectly level with your display as you're prying it up. If you want actually to be a little more careful, angle it, you see, like if you twist it like this, I don't know if you can see that. If you angle it just slightly down, so that way the direction you're prying it, the front of the tool digs into your bottom half and not the top half, then you can avoid scratching it. But the idea when you're going around this to pry this top touch cover off, and I keep saying pry, but that's not what you're actually doing. You're going around this until you cut through the adhesive enough that this basically just pops off on its own. You don't want to pry this off. That's how people crack them, is when they go and try to pry it instead of just continuing to go around and around a few times, cutting through that adhesive until it pops off on its own. Exactly. Keep the torque away from the screen. I like the way you put it. Might have to steal that. Yeah, you can heat it up if you want. Don't have your heat up more than like 150, 175 degrees if you can. I mean, absolutely try to keep it under 200. You see me blasting the plastic parts with 500 degrees Celsius, but I've done this a lot. And I'll hold the part in my hand so I can tell when it's warm enough without overheating it too quickly. Sometimes I play background music. Usually it's pretty quiet though. People are pretty 50-50 on wanting like absolute silence versus like background music. Yeah, do as I say, not as I do, until you build up the confidence to do as you say yourself. Then do as you say and do as you do. Do whatever you want to do. Just don't hurt each other. Or yourself. That's my disclaimer. I ain't having it. Fuck off, cat. Yes, be free. Yeah, how's that for a camera angle? Now you can see what I'm doing. This is why, well, one of the main reasons why I like to keep all of my old phones, because they come in handy quite often. The only camera in my live stream setup here that's an actual camera is my, what is this? The ZV-E10. That's the top-down camera. But everything else is like an iPhone or an Android phone. Alright, that might be enough to pull off now. Easy peasy. Okay, first look at the subwoofer. It Looks okay, feels okay, smells okay. It passes all our checks. Just want to thank you all for stopping by and watching. Leave a like. Let me know I'm doing all right. Also lets me know you're doing all right. If you're not doing all right, feel free to hit dislike too. It's okay to vent here. Welcome back. Oh, got them all. Nice! That moves us on to diagnosis. So let's get up close to the amp here. We're going to get right over to that Schottky barrier diode if we can find where the hell we are. Oh, the camera's frozen. Okay, that's okay. We can fix that. Yes, I'm sure I wish to remove it. Let's re-add our camera there really quick. Bear with me. And I want that sweet 4K. That's what I paid for. And then we need to move that to that group over there. Now it doesn't look horrible. We need to rotate that so we don't get sick. And there we go. We are back. So there's our Schottky barrier diode right there. At the bottom we can see it's got a date code of 1748K. So good chances that this is in fact dead. Alright, so our meter beeps at us when we test that our probes are connected. So that'll tell us if this diode has a short or not. We're going to put one probe, it doesn't matter positive or negative, on the big pin on the bottom. And then we're going to probe either little pin on the top. That's dead. That's dead. A good diode would do something like this. Just so you guys know. It won't beep at you. Doesn't matter if you accidentally touch them both at the same time. But that's a good diode. That's a bad one. So, we know what's wrong. Let's get that replaced. We'll see if we get this amp turning on again. Do you do these in your spare time after work and family time is over? Yes, I do. Although recently, it's kind of just been like whenever I can make the tone, really. And yeah, I use Resolve to edit my videos whenever I edit them. Most everything I do is live stream. but here we go. Old one be gone. If we wanted to be completely proper, we would test and make sure that the short is no longer present on the amp and that the short is still on the actual part that we pulled off, but we've done this a few hundred times. We know what we're doing. We're just going to get this new diode on here. So let's flux it up. Get some fresh solder on our new part. Ooh, get back here. All right. And then some people think it's a sin, others not. I say whatever works and lasts. You do you, but we're gonna slap that right on there. We don't need to worry about cleaning up or like putting any new solder on the board there. Honestly, I like to mix it up a little bit, but that's just my opinion. Does DigiKey? I think like a week or so ago, I just made an order off of DigiKey for like 100 more of them. So I think they still had like a few thousand at least. So they should still have some. Give me my parts back. Okay, so we're putting this together now. We're just slapping a power supply and a logic board on here with our subwoofer, just so we can get it turned on, verify that it produces sound, and that there aren't any other issues present. And by that, I mean we have a multimeter connected to our subwoofer over there, and that will allow us to see in DC voltage mode if this amp has any DC offset problems. And DC offset is just simply any amount of voltage, positive or negative. The closer to zero you are, the better you are. So we want to see that anywhere under 50 millivolts. And if it powers on, plays sound, and we've got less than 50 millivolts of DC voltage on the meter, this one checks out. So let's find out. We've got power. I'll take a drink while that boots up. Oh, one other thing, if you're doing your own DC offset measurements here, it's totally normal for your DC offset to spike up a bunch while music is playing. You want to wait a few seconds after nothing is playing and then observe your measurement. And here we can see we've got about 2 millivolts, 1 millivolt, between 1 and 2 millivolts. That is an excellent score. That is far below the 50 millivolts that we try to keep things under, and far below anything that would cause any problems long term. So this one is ready to put back together. Oh man, no, you got me. I've been needing to add a whole bunch of stuff to the website, like video examples of the different issues, so that way people can more easily identify and confirm their issue before they send it in, as well as the tools that I use and what I recommend. And it's kind of hard for me to recommend some of the tools that I use because I don't have experience with anything else. So it's kind of like only eating at Outback Steakhouse your whole life and then recommending Outback Steakhouse for their steaks. You know what I mean? But I'm more than happy to put up on my website what I use. I'm not sure if I'll recommend them per se. But people ask what I use, and honestly, that's how I get my hands on that's how I decide on a lot of my tools, is I buy what I see other people using, even if they don't necessarily recommend it. And my hot air gun was only like $50 or $60, so it was an easy first time, like, foot in the water for getting into board level repair. And it's been damn good for a little cheap hot air machine like that. I think I went on Amazon and filtered by Prime and sorted by cheapest and bought the cheapest next day hot air gun that I could get. Quit that. Stop. Cease. The AliExpress upcharge special. True that, man. Oh, really? The only screws I've ever stripped in these has been the screws for the power supply. And that can happen when you encounter one that they used thread locker from hell, and it just will not come out without breaking the screw head off or stripping it. I've only seen that once or twice. I mean, it's happened to someone else that they've told me about once or twice, but it's rare, but that's happened. Really? Everybody's going tonight. What's up, Peabody?
She's talking to me.
Peabody.
I'm gonna put the baby in a different onesie. I think she's getting hot. She keeps grumbling.
YouTube chooses to censor the dumbest comments. Ooh, free HomePod. I can't complain about that even if it's broken. Not sure what to think about the AirPods. That's strange. Maybe a battery problem. Even if they charge. I saw iFixit sells like a specific tool to pry open and vice shut your AirPods now, which I thought was interesting. I might have to get my hands on some of those and offer AirPods repairs too. I've had a few people ask me about those. My only guess was battery, because if it's the battery could be dying and disconnecting it from Bluetooth. Oh, well, I guess if they're still powered on and giving you feedback, the Bluetooth just disconnects. That's strange, and your guess is probably correct. Bedtime reminder. Yeah, thanks. I should delete that. That's been a joke for the past month or so. Yeah, it's always fun to dick around with them, though. See if you can, just for the sake of it. And then you may find that you actually enjoy it, and it was a little easier than you thought, and you get into the whole business of doing it for other people. Huh? That's what happened with me and these damn HomePods. You can't stop me. You can't stop me. You can't stop me. I hope they never fix that issue with intercom. I hope it always plays delayed and out of sync on all of them. That's the only reason I use it. Ooh, if you're into 3D printing, you should try to design a 3D printable replacement for these top touch covers that people keep breaking. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to be functional and better than a cracked ass top. I should get off my ass and do it myself, but I don't have a 3D printer to try them out. And I don't want to pay the money to have somebody do it. Like, print a whole bunch of prototypes and have them ship them to me and try a whole bunch out. I might eventually, still. I used SolidWorks in high school, and I think that's pretty much the only thing I have any experience on. I know. I've been needing to get my hands on one still. I would like to get my hands on one of those like UV resin printers because I feel like the resolution of one of those, or the final finish of one of those, is gonna be a lot more suitable for like a touch cover replacement than any of the classic. I don't know what the technical term is to differentiate these different types of 3D printers, but you know what I'm saying. I know that those other ones have like some really super crazy resolutions now, but I still feel like the UV would, with the moving platform, would produce a better result than any kind of layering could do. Yeah, it's toxic crazy, but the only person chewing on HomePod parts is me, so that risk is, I think, minimal. But on the flip side, I don't want to get sued selling them, and because people are touching them and then touching their faces and mouths, getting sick and shit. Print upside down, that's not a bad idea. The problem with these is they're ever so slightly convex. So you would need to make a convex or concave print fairly thin at that. You don't want to have it a flat print and then rely on flexing it for it to bend and concave like this, because then you're at that point, unless it stays in that shape, it's gonna want to flatten back out and it's just gonna pop back off, which would not be fun. Listen, people already pay out the ass for the shiny, overpriced, toxic tape from D brand to skin their phones. People will be more than happy to pay for the toxic, overpriced, concave plastic covers for their 5-year-old $300 smart speaker. That was sarcasm, by the way. Although I'm sure people actually would. Well, once the resin is cured, it's inert. Well, who cares then? I'm not shipping this stuff to people while it's like still drying. Well, that'd be hilarious. Interesting. Everything up to that point. Oh, it's everything up to the point that's the issue. Yeah, I'm not having people print their own at home. Although if they have their own UV resin printer, I'm sure they are somewhat aware of those risks. But if I can get my hands on a UV resin printer, or know somebody who's got one, I can maybe find a way to scan this, convert it to a model. Heck. Okay. Ah, the community doesn't. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright, now we got this tiny little bit here to put back on real quick. Alright. Not bad, not bad. But did we fix it? Yes, we did. What do we got?
I'm having trouble connecting to...
Aren't we all?
I'm having trouble...
Volume buttons light up nice and even, so this one checks out. Very nice. So now we move on to Nick's HomePods. They sent in 2 of them. Hey, Amil. Thank you for watching, man. It's my pleasure. What was I? Okay, yeah. So we've got Nick's. And they sent in 2 of their HomePods. Not that they had any problems, but if I remember correctly, they were going to be giving them to a friend, and they wanted to make sure that they lasted as long as possible before they gave them to them. So they wanted to have the the parts that commonly fail replaced preemptively. So we're going to crack them open and replace the filtering caps and the Schottky barrier diode. So that should prevent the most common no power problem and the death farts. Ooh! Ooh! Candy. Very nice. Ooh, it smells like Christmas. Okay. Here is number 1. I won't bother trying to keep this stuff. I've got bubble wrap. We can put it back in. Ooh, fancy. Okay, so we don't really have any symptoms to check for. I suppose we should just make sure that it boots up and works fine as it is. We don't want to do our regular maintenance, put it together, and then discover an issue thinking that we caused it. Let's just make sure it all works. Oh, beautiful. They actually reset it for us too. So this one sounds great, looks great. Let's go ahead and crack it open, replace those parts that typically fail, and get it back together, and we'll do the same thing to their other one. Oh, come on now. Be nice. There we go. The camera has a score against me of like 1,000. And I think I've won against the camera like 2 or 3 times. What are you doing here? Get out of here. I guess I should talk about something, right? Oh. I am almost 30 years old, and I have never watched The Walking Dead. So, I figured if I'm going to spend a significant amount of my time with my ass firmly planted on my couch in the living room holding my kid for the next few weeks to months, why not watch something? And I picked The Walking Dead. And I'm currently at the start of season 7. It's been rough. I've sworn to finish it though. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm noticing so far. That and a lot of filler. There we go. Can I? No, I cannot. That's lame. So it's usually not the plastic making the noise. It's actually, well, I guess yeah, it's the plastic, but it's the adhesive glue that's giving up and snapping off the plastic. Much better than the sounds of an Xbox 360 opening up. Okay, the voice coil looks good, feels nice and smooth, and it smells funky fresh. No concerns with our subwoofer there. Alright, that one's gonna need to get big chungus. That was one. That one's easy. That one's easy, but this one's putting up a fight. Yeah! You cannot resist. Yeah, just make sure you're pushing down for not too firm. You don't want to break stuff, but you'd have to be using some pretty significant force to do that. But dig in there and firmly grasp it. Okay. So let's get our filters replaced first. We're skipping diagnosis because there's nothing to diagnose here. We're just doing a little bit of preventative maintenance. Kind of torn on just suggesting that you replace these willy-nilly. But on the flip side, it's not going to do any harm if you want to. I don't see these issues as often, so I don't think the failure rate necessarily for death farts is like super bad enough to warrant thinking that like, oh, you should replace these every repair. But not the same story for the diode that causes the power issues. That's something that we do replace every time. But especially by now, if it's still good, then usually I would be inclined to just leave it. These are non-polar. You can put them on any direction you like. You do need to physically place them like this. Like, you can't like rotate them 90 degrees, but you can have them this way or 180 degrees flipped. There's no polarity for these caps. Non-polar. What's that diode have? Ooh, it's got a date code of 1748K on it. So that is that date code that we normally see failing. So it's a good thing that we're getting to this. We've had some mysterious issues coming in the past few days. I had somebody who sent 2 in that were supposedly popping and restarting on them, but I was playing with them all day today and they did not have a single issue. They've been working just fine for me. And it's no skin off my back, it's just a little bit of time, but if we end up having to send them back, then it does kind of suck because they end up wasting a little money on shipping. That's a cranky baby. Alright, let's smash this one together. Let's make sure this works. Beautiful. Let's take care of this one really quick. Same thing, let's just make sure that it works. Okay. Let's get cracking. Hello, hi. Welcome to the stream. Welcome back. Normal maintenance is the same price as usual repairs for 60 bucks. If we find that your bass speaker needs replaced, that's an extra 20, but in most cases, usually the bass speaker's just fine. You usually only see that when you've got no bass. But maintenance is the same, $60. That'll get you the new Schottky barrier diodes, so you shouldn't worry about the common no power issue. You'll get new filters, so you shouldn't need to worry about any death farts killing your subwoofer over time. And we'll just check over everything else and make sure that there aren't any other hidden surprises. To be honest with you, I don't know what the life expectancy is aside from at least a couple of years, like 2 to 4 years at least. They should continue to hold up. As far as the power, to be more specific, the no power repairs should last at least 5 years, if not longer. Because those diodes that are failing and causing that seem to be part of a bad batch of them. So you replace the bad part that's known as to fail with a good one that's not going to fail, and you get the idea. For the death farts, that one's a little harder to guess because of the nature of the part that fails. It's just an inherent property of these capacitors to lose their effectiveness at filtering DC voltage over time. So there is a way to calculate it, but I need to take more measurements and get a bigger brain to actually use that calculation in order to determine how long they should last. But in theory, they match or exceed, my replacement caps meet or exceed the quality of the ones that Apple used, so they should at least last another 2 to 4 years, if not longer. And at that point, you're actually worrying about software support for these, and them breaking themselves without a way to restore it, or other issues with the logic board. That's what I hope, is when they end support, I hope they still continue to at least function as AirPlay destinations, because that's really all I use them for, is AirPlay speakers. And if they continue to function like that until entropy, then I couldn't be happier with that. For myself, at least. Oh, that's good. That's funny. I'm gonna have to steal that too. here we go. Same deal as before. We'll give them some new filters and an SB diode, and then we'll throw it back together. I am going to make a new video for the new HomePod as soon as it shows up. I hope it sounds at least as good as the OG. I'll be happy with that. I don't care if it's improved, but if they get away with making it sound at least as good with fewer speakers, that's a win to me. Lower cost, potentially access to parts for fixing it. $1746K, also within that range that we normally see fail. The Verge article did not come out yet. I've been keeping my eye out. They were going to tell me when it came out too. But it's not a Verge article for me. It's a Verge article on the right to repair. And they wanted to talk to me about HomePods in particular because of their rather difficult repairability. Alright, let's put this back together. It is pretty amazing, really, how much power they pack into such a small little speaker. I agree. Yes, I'm gonna tear that bitch down. Second I get my hands on it. We'll do a comparison side by side and then we'll tear it down. And they can't void my warranty for it, unless I break it. No, that doesn't sound like a diode issue. If it was a diode issue, it wouldn't show any power at all. That could be an issue with the logic board, or an issue with the amp not having any sound. So I would try to get your hands on some extra parts so you can nail down which part is exactly causing that behavior, and then you can go from there. I can't wait to get my hands on this thing and see it on the inside. I want to see what I can swap around between the old and the new. I'm hoping some cosmetic stuff and maybe the subwoofer can maybe fit with minor modification. But I'm trying to manage my expectations. I think I know what the case will be. Nothing. Yeah, there aren't many known points of failure on the logic board. The only ones that I know of are ones that cause no power entirely. So, if it works fine with another logic board, then you're kind of hosed. Unless you want to start trial and error, like probing around and comparing values between a good and bad logic board and seeing if you can find a difference and whack-a-mole the part. If it's the amplifier, with a different amplifier it works fine, then I would think you've probably got like a no sound issue, or maybe something else going on the amp, but I've got a common issue on the website for no sound showing that little chip. That usually fails and causes no sound, but no great ways to diagnose it. But nailing down which of those two parts it is a great start. It would sound a little wrong though, because they are different speakers on the inside. It's not just a different amount of speakers. They're different. They're at different angles. They have different internal hardware designs. So it might sound a little off. I get why they didn't allow it. Doing a stereo pair between old and new. If I hold the finger to do a reset, it will turn for you red for a few seconds, then it goes out. Does when the red turns off after trying to reset it, does it fade away or does it abruptly turn off? The other thing I want to know is when you're trying to reset it and it turns red and then the red goes away. And then what happens when you try to tap it again after that red goes away? Does it light up again? Or does it like show the Siri animation, or does it show the white spinning animation like it restarted itself? Okay, so what you've got are boot loops, and unfortunately my best guess, and usually what causes those, are some sort of software or hardware issue with the logic board. So I haven't been able to fix any logic boards with boot loops. I've just had to replace those outright with other logic boards. It's not something that I offer repairs for, but I've had one happen to myself and I've had to replace the logic board. It sucks. I hate it because working logic boards are already hard enough to come by. They're not very repairable. You can't restore the software, so if they brick themselves, you've got a brick. Literally. I have tried tweeting to some of the jailbreak guys in the past, including one of the guys that jailbreak a HomePod to be specific, and I never heard back from them. He's been up his own ass the entire time I've heard his name. Ever since I heard his name come into the jailbreak community. Oh, am I thinking of GeoHot or am I thinking of something else? I'm thinking of the guy that made... I'm not thinking of GeoHot. I'm thinking of the guy that made, is it Check Rain? Yeah, it's the Check Rain guy. Who is this? Interesting. I don't see their name on here anymore. Yeah, I pretty much stopped jailbreaking around the iPhone 11. I've been jailbreaking ever since my second generation iPod Touch in high school, but stopped around the 11 when jailbreaks were far and fewer in between. And honestly, a lot of the features that you jailbreak for are native now. But I still try to keep a pulse on things. If a jailbreak comes out with a version of iOS that I happen to be on that supports the phone I happen to have, then I try to jailbreak, but that hasn't happened since my 11. Okay, another one good to go. That leaves us with our fourth and final repair from Kyle with, I believe, some classic death farts. I don't blame them either. Like, the jailbreak community, for the most part, turned into a bunch of ungrateful, like, children that, like, just constantly demanded things for free. And, like, yeah. It's like, it was kind of setting the whole thing up for failure from the beginning. Not setting it up for failure. It was, the whole thing was kind of doomed to die off and fail from the start, when a major premise behind jailbreaking, or a major reason why a lot of people jailbroke, was to get access to pirated apps, which eventually turned into access to pirated tweaks, which gave tweak developers little to no incentive to, work on this stuff. And then younger and younger people were getting access to phones, and, they have access to the internet and whining to these people that work on these jailbreaks and such, and yeah, you kind of get sick of it. What is death fart? Death fart, I actually have an explanation of death farts on the website. If you go to nixfix.com, head over to common issues, and then look for the death farts issue. Long story short, the filtering caps go bad. It allows DC voltage through the amp. Once it reaches 2 to 3 volts DC, it'll trigger a death fart, which is a loud buzzing sound followed by a restart. And to fix that, we replace the filtering caps, which brings that voltage under control again, prevents the death farts from happening, and also DC voltage is bad for your speakers, so it'll prevent the subwoofer speaker from cooking itself over time.
I'm having trouble.
One of the symptoms of DC offset or death farts is a loud pop as it goes
I'm
in
having
and out
trouble
of...
connect-
Don't raise your voice at me. As it goes in and out of standbys. So listen again as we unplug it from power. That's kind of a crappy pop there. So I've heard worse, I've heard better, but we're going to take this apart, get it connected to our multimeter, and confirm our suspicion here with that excess DC voltage causing death farts. Ooh, nice. Hope you still have that. That hurts. That hurts so bad. That's like that time that I got a limited edition Legend of Zelda 3DS XL when I used to work at Nintendo. And one of the perks of working at Nintendo is you get unlimited free repairs on all of your Nintendo hardware for life, as long as you work there. And one day, I had accidentally broken the screen on it. One of my monitors on my desk had somehow fallen off and cracked the screen on it. So I sent it in to get it repaired. And they sent me a blue one back, just a generic blue 3DS XL back. I was crushed. And I reached out to them and I was like, hey, I know that there's a chance of this happening, but like, please. And they were like, no. And I was like, okay. You were like the 10th person that's asked me about this new HomePod. Yes, I will be tearing it down. Yes, I'll be live streaming it. If you guys want to know, always check my community posts on YouTube and check my Twitter, because I always make posts about this stuff before you guys even ask it. But yes, I'll be making a teardown. I'll be live streaming it. I'll be comparing it. Yes. Next person that asks me owes me $20. Or a like. Leave a like. I would just wait until it goes bad, honestly. There's no harm in waiting. Like, if all it does is pop, then usually it's not until you have death farts that you're in the range of damage occurring to the rest of the hardware. Which is why I say don't worry about it until you've got death farts. That's the sign that it's bad enough to warrant repair. But yeah, no, don't worry about it. Use it until it breaks. Use it till you can't. It's not going to cost any more or less for repairs if you wait until it is a problem or not. The only difference, or the only exception to that really, is if your bass speaker fries. You will be charged extra for that. But If you stop using it when it starts farting, then you won't blow your subwoofer up. Usually. Sometimes they just get absolutely cooked. What's the worst HomePod I've ever gotten? A few people have asked me that before. And surprisingly so far, I haven't gotten anything really gross. I've gotten one that looked like it was in someone's barn once. But I've never had anything with bugs or like anything that really made me want to wear gloves working on. I should wear gloves working on these. You never know what they've done with them. But I feel like HomePods are a lower risk than your average consumer electronics device. But the worst one, it wasn't really gross, it was just completely corroded to hell and back all over on the inside. And I've actually got a YouTube short on my channel showcasing that damage. Wow, that one went for a dance. Yeah, and honestly, I can kind of see that happening too. Ooh. Let's get this board hooked up to our meter, powered up and all that, and make sure we've got what we think's going on here. Here we go. So, our meter says 600 millivolts and growing quickly. So what happens after a few minutes, those caps are going to continue allowing more and more DC voltage through. That number on the meter is going to grow past 3 volts. The amp is going to detect that and then force a restart and play that death fart sound that everybody talks about. So our goal here, wow, that's a loud pop, is to get that number under 50 millivolts. And to do that, we are going to replace the filtering capacitors that are supposed to be keeping that number under control. And for good measure, like we always do, we'll also replace the same Schottky barrier diode that causes no power issues. Nothing to do with this, but we do it every time. The screws aren't necessary if you're testing. Two of them do ground, but they're more redundant than anything necessary. I just put a screw in to keep the power supply in there so it doesn't pop off on the bench. It loves to do that. And you do not want that sucker popping out while you're testing. Oh, I'm not losing you. Where'd you go? Damn. Here we go, 4 for 1. Let's do it. No hands. Let's go. Oh. Come on. Nice. I'm going to give that one a little assist there. Beautiful. Not perfect. There we go. Cost of parts is so it's a couple bucks in caps, and well, it's like $1 or $2 in capacitors and $1 per diode. A lot of the cost is my time, and a lot of the cost is to cover my ass in case I need to ship it back for any warranty work. Which I haven't luckily had to use very often, but it's nice that it's there in case so I'm not losing money in case I need somebody to send something back. It's happened. We've made mistakes. We've had things come back for completely unrelated things that we've just decided to help them out on. I gotta stop doing that. I gotta start running a business. I'm losing parts. What do you think this is, a charity? I got a business to run here. Just cooling this board off, and then we will confirm our repairs here. The parts tray is not a must. Not unless you do a bunch of these. If you're trying to crank out multiple HomePods a day, then yeah, you want to start looking into making your job easier and saving time. When I first started, it took around an hour to an hour and 20 minutes to fix each HomePod. A lot of that was not having the right setup and things where they should be, and just not being very organized. I'm still not very organized, but I'm better than I was before. What do we got? What do we got? Five, 4. Give me 4. You gonna show 3? 3 millivolts. That is a significant improvement, and that is well within spec again. That's below 50 millivolts, and that's really all we need to see. So that means we can put this together. What is up, Jonathan? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to another live stream repair. OG HomePod incoming. All right. Got a lot of HomePods coming in this week. Got a lot of HomePods coming in every week. It's been busy. I remember when I only got 1 or 2 every few days. Now it's like guaranteed like 2 to 7 every day. Every weekday with like 1 to 3 every weekend. Thankfully, on Sunday, the UPS store is closed, so I don't even get any on Sundays, so I can't fix them if I wanted to. So I get a day off, unless I put off any of the ones that showed up on Saturday, which usually happens. But that's okay, because I can't, again, UPS is closed on Sunday, so it's not like I can fix them on Saturday and ship them out Sunday. I might as well fix them whenever I can on the weekend and get them back out and ready by Monday. Yeah. Yeah, I've got my site set up with like Google Analytics. The majority of people find it through just Google searching HomePod repair. And my website continues to trade blows as the top search result when you search for HomePod repair with Apple's own website and Best Buy's Geek Squad website, which I don't understand why they don't fix them. I don't know why. Oh yeah, the 16.3 update. I'm gonna push that up on all of mine right now. Oh god, literally all of the HomePods in the house restarted for updates at the same time. Cross your fingers, folks. Yeah, I think that's sick. It's cool because I have a mini in the bathroom, so I can see the humidity go up while like taking a shower. It's interesting that they put that sensor in there and then waited this long to activate it. I wonder why. I'm sure someone will come up with a creative workaround for that. Homebridge enabled Dyson space heater. Interesting. Yeah, but I'm thinking of like maybe an automation that somebody could come up with that would be able to extract that data and share it somehow. It'd be janky. Yeah, on second thought, that probably wouldn't work very well at all. Yeah, someone has a plugin for it. There's a Homebridge plugin for damn near everything. on the other cat. Okay. Here we go. We've got power. And no
I'm
significant
having trouble
popping.
connecting to the internet. I'm having trouble.
Volume buttons light up nice and even. So, we got everything sent in today fixed up without a problem. If you have any questions about the repairs here or anything about HomePods in general, feel free to leave a comment down below. If you're looking for more info on doing your own repairs or sending yours in at any point along the way to be repaired here on the channel, check out the website nixfix.com, where I've got common issues and steps on how to repair it yourself, and my contact info if you want to send it in. In any case,